from my autobiography entitled I Count My Life by Sabbaths, and which I affectionately now call America's premier toilet reading book, because you can pick it up and lay it down without losing your place or missing out on anything. It's episodical. Part 2, My Childhood, Chapter 12, Kindergarten. Across from Calvary Tabernacle was Indianapolis Public School number 28, where I went to kindergarten. I don't recall the name of my teacher, but I do recall playing every day with blocks that were stored on shelves. Nap mats were also stored on those shelves. Since I was Mama's good little nap taker, they never had a problem with me. Mom would walk me to school and pick me up every day. The clearest memory I have of that time was sitting on the floor next to the wooden shelves where the blocks were stored. I was putting them all neatly back on the shelves when my teacher came up and complimented me so sweetly. "Stephen, you're doing such a great job. I'm so glad you're doing this." I asked why she was so happy. She replied, "Honey, it's your turn to do this. Didn't you see your name up on the chart for this job this week?" I couldn't read. I didn't have any foggy notion about it. I had just stumbled into being a good boy that day, and my teacher was sure to tell my mother about it. Chapter 13, Calvary Christian School. The principal of Calvary Christian School was Chester Combs, an impressive man with wavy silver hair. He was tasked with educating children from the church who could be quite squirrely without offending their parents. No simple task. Sister Miller, an aged, shrunken little woman who could play the piano, taught first and second grades. Sister Schilling taught third and fourth grade. Sister Piper taught fifth and sixth grades. Sister Leonard taught seventh and eighth grades. Since I began in the first grade as a 5-year-old, I was mentally and developmentally behind everyone in my class. This was an advantage as well as a disadvantage. Dismissal was by bells, which I never received instructions about nor understood the first few weeks. I learned that 2 bells meant the dismissal of the south route, and those children filed out to their bus. 3 bells meant the dismissal of the north route, and those children filed out to their bus. 1 bell was for walkers, and I was in that group. On the very first day, as the bells began to ring, I bolted out the door and down the hall toward the exit. All of a sudden, I felt a sharp pain as someone grabbed my right ear by the lobe and almost pulled me off my feet. I looked up into the eyes of Chester Combs, and he sternly asked me, "Where do you think you're going, mister?" I learned quickly to wait for my bell. Chapel was every Friday, and every class competed with other classes to raise money for missions. First grade never won. The 8th graders always won, hands down. To me, they were like adults, giants. During recess, we filed out to the church parking lot and played Red Rover. Again, the big kids dominated. One day each week, we had breaded stewed tomatoes for lunch. I absolutely hated this and refused to eat it, something that Chester Combs reported to my mother. To this day, I hate soggy bread. We also had milk every day, sometimes chocolate, from Mutual Bottle Service, along with a 6-inch waxy white straw. I saved these straws for a later experiment. My mother would walk down the alley to pick me up each day, helping me cross Cedar Street. On the occasion of Chester's report to my mother about my refusal to eat breaded stewed tomatoes, I felt safe with my mother being there. As he related the matter, I looked up at him and said, "Hello, Dr. Stinky!" Chester was startled, and my mother stared at me with mortification. I collapsed on the ground, laughing my head off. "Dr. Stinky!" I gasped, pointing at him, confident he could not discipline me. My mother gathered me up, and we walked the half block back to our house. I never heard anything about it after that, except that the story always evokes laughter when people hear me tell it. Life at Calvary Christian School settled into a routine. Walking to and from school every day, recess in the church parking lot, chapel on Fridays, occasional prayer meetings, dismissal by bells. About the only thing I can recall in those first 4 years is an occurrence that took place just after recess in the 4th grade. We sat in 4 rows, 2 rows for one grade and 2 rows for the other in each room. Recess was over and we came in. I was hot and sweaty and my hair tousled. The girl that sat behind me was named Patty Kiesel. She reached into her purse, pulled out a comb, and began to comb the hair on the back of my head. I jumped up and protested while all the other children laughed and called me a sissy. But I was not going to have this, and I didn't want Patty's cooties. Tune in for the next episode.